Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name's Amy and I've got my favourite books of 2024. So I've done it how I've done my book of the month. So I've got 12 books to share with you. I'm basically now going to go through January to December and basically show you the books that were my favourite of the whole year basically. I've got my stack ready and I'm going to go in order from January to December. So in January, my favourite book of the month was Zodiac Academy, The Reckoning. I loved this book. It was so good. Bearing in mind, I can't quite remember exactly what went on throughout the book. I just know it was so good. So I remember when I started Zodiac Academy, I then read Ruthless Fae, and then I read this one, and then I read Shadow Princess straight away. But the reason why I didn't do Shadow Princess as my book of the month because it broke me at the end, and this one, the ending of this was spectacular. It was so good, best cliffhanger ever, and I literally was like, nope, I need to pick up the next one ASAP. So that was January. I have the dust jacket for this book, but my book is actually up there. So my favourite book in February is A House of Flame and Shadow by Sarah J Maas. Are we surprised? Absolutely not. I laughed in this. I cried in this. I laughed some more. I cried some more. It was the best book ever. I loved it. I love Brune Dannon so much. I love Bryce, her sass, and just like how she is, and with her pink sneakers as well. Daisy, stop it. So yes, that is definitely my favourite book of February. And then in March, I read A Soul of Ash and Blood by Jennifer L. Armentrout. I really liked this book because it was basically from Blood and Ash, but from his point of view. And I really liked that because there's certain things that happen in From Blood and Ash that you don't get to see because it's all in Poppy's point of view and not in Hawke's point of view. Don't do that. So I really loved seeing, obviously, his point of view in this, especially like when certain things happened. I was like, yes, you suck it to him, brilliant, get in there. Oh, it was good. It was really, really good. So that was why that was my book of the month for March. Now we're getting more into a very romance stage. Bearing in mind for the next 1, 2, 3, 4 months, 3 of the books are by the same author. And that just goes to show something, really, doesn't it? That I just love that author's books. The only reason why the first one's not in it because I read that the year before. Or I read it in one of the other months, but it just didn't beat one of the other books. So the book that I absolutely loved in April was The Right Move by Liz Tomforde. I mean, this was like, it was basically forced proximity. Stop it. It was forced proximity. It was, I don't know, it wasn't one bed trope, but it was definitely more forced proximity. I think it was fake dating as well. I cannot remember. I just knew that I loved it, and how he like spoke to her and everything, and the fact that he calls her Blue as well, which I think is really, really like nice. And I can't remember why he calls her Blue. Oh, that's it. It's also a best friend's brother. So it's fake dating, best friend's brother, forced proximity because they have to live in the same apartment. So yes, that was April. May was Things We Left Behind by Lucy Score. I was waiting and waiting and waiting for this book for so long. I loved this book because I read the first 2 and I was like, I need their book. And then I got their book, and how he was and the quotes in it. I wish I'd tabbed it. I might have to do a reread. Maybe have to do a reread. Oh, do you have to do that in front of the camera? Sorry everybody, she just likes to just lick herself, don't you? So yes, I love this. This is about Lucian and Sloane. It was so good. I loved it. There's not really much I can say. It did also really make me cry at the end as well. And also, like, if you've read the first 2, you'll understand like where you want to get to this book because you want to know what happened to them in the past, and you want to know what happened to them in the past, and it's brilliant. I loved it. And then June's book was Caught Up by Liz Tomforde, obviously, because we love a Liz Tomforde. I cannot wait for her new book to come out this year. So this is a single dad romance. and coach's daughter. And yeah, and she basically falls in love with his kid because he's like 9 months old and he's sweet. Or is he 9 months old? I don't know, but he's like a baby and he's cute, and she's basically the nanny, so it's like a single dad nanny romance, but she's the coach's daughter. So I really, really enjoyed this one. And then by the same author in July, Play Along, which is his brother, and this is basically they got drunk in Vegas and got married, and they have to play along because you're not where she works for his team, they're not allowed to like fraternise, but they technically were already married, so they couldn't do anything about it. And obviously he's like, oh, we're married now, so just play along, it's fine. And then she wanted to play along anyway because obviously her old fiance was then getting married to her sister or her cousin or something like that. So basically that's why they wanted to play along. But I gave it 5 stars. I think I cried at the end of this. Mostly if I give it a month, it's because I've cried at the end, or cried at some point, or I felt sad, or really, really happy while reading it. But I did love this book. Oh, you're really annoying me now. So in August, going back towards more fantasy, I read Bonesmith by Nikki Pau Prateau. I can't say her last name. I'm really, really sorry. I really loved this. It was so good. The enemies to lovers. But the person I loved the most in this book was Leo, who is a side character. And I always find that I like side characters more than like main characters. I always find that, like with Crescent City, I love Rune Dannon. In From Blood and Ash, I love Kieran. Ow, that hurts. In From Blood and Ash, I love Kieran. And I mean, even though you didn't really get to see much of him, you did get his POV like once or twice, and that's another reason why I loved it. And like at the ending of what happened at the end, and like how everything come about, was like really like well done. And I really cannot wait to read Ghost Smith soon, hopefully. Don't know when I'm gonna. Ow, she's clawing me. I don't know when I'm gonna pick it up. I do want to pick it up soon, but apparently there's quite a lot of travelling there, but I don't really mind travelling. So that was my August book. September's book I will put up here because I don't have a physical copy of it because I read it on Kindle. And I've got, hang on, let me just see. It's called Shut Out by Avery Keelan. And I so much love that book. It's basically a best friend's romance, but also like brother's best friend. And they basically hook up at Halloween. This happens right at the beginning of the book. And then they don't get each other's number. And then it comes about that it's his best friend's like baby sister or something like that. And they met at a Halloween party, and she was Tinkerbell. I can't remember what he was, but I love the fact that he calls her Tink. So like all the time like they're together, that he calls her Tink, and I really, really liked it was, and that one I think made me cry as well because it was so sweet and it was just so humble, and I absolutely loved it. So October's book, which I'll also put up here, is one that a genre that I hadn't really delved into really, and it was, me and my friend Holly were like, well, maybe we should just read it and get it out of the way and see what it's like. And then we found out that the narrator was Teddy Hamilton, and we both love Teddy Hamilton because he does the voice of Xaden in Fourth Wing. So at the end we heard his voice. I was like, oh, I love his voice. And he does the voice in Anna Huang's King of Greed, and I really love that book as well. And the book I'm on about that I read in October was Hunting Adeline. So not Haunting, it was Hunting. It was the second book. Very much, I did like the first book, but I loved the second book more. I mean, it is brutal. If you have triggers for, you need to read the trigger warnings, but it was beautiful. But I loved it. It did make me cry as well. It made me laugh because he's just funny. There's one scene where, so he basically kills people, but he kills bad guys, and he likes to torture them. And I think I actually said it in a vlog when I was reading it, and he's hunting something, right? And he's got this guy in this chair, and he's pulling off his fingernails, like torturing him. And then he says to the guy that's in the chair, going, "Do you know how many people I've killed in this chair?" And the guy's like, "Oh, oh, oh, I don't know. And he's like, neither do I. It's been too many. I lost count." Oh my god, it's so funny. It was brilliant. I absolutely loved it. It was so, so good. But it didn't quite make my book of the year. And I'll tell you what my book of the year is at the end. So, and then obviously Wisteria came out in November, and I absolutely loved that. So obviously my November book of the month was Wisteria by Adeline Grace. I'm so happy that I read this, because that was the last of the series, and I was like, yes, I finished the series. But now she's bringing out a holiday novella it's called Holly, so it must be coming out in like December. So I've got to wait a whole year just to read it. So that's going to take me a while. But I loved this because this was Marriage of Inconvenience. They hated each other. No, I mean like they hated each other. So it was proper like mega hate to love. But he was so cute as well with like what he did. I mean, he was an absolute arse at the beginning, but further in the book, you were just like, oh, that's really sweet, that's really cute, oh, I loved it. And the last book for my book of the month in December was Dixon Rule by Elle Kennedy. Now, this wasn't going to get book of the month to begin with. Now, I was reading this in December, like in the holidays, and I think I was reading it over Christmas, and I put it down for a bit because I had some really bad news just after Christmas, and it kind of like really hit me. I mean, I'm gonna try not to cry right now. I had some, it was awful bad news, and I then had to deal with like that. And then I was reading this book, and I got to a part in this book that the same thing happened that what happened to me, but I didn't know that was going to happen. So I was listening to this on, I think it was New Year's Eve, like daytime before I went to work, and I was trying to finish it, and I only had like an hour left. And what happened at the end of this book megally hit me like right here because of what had happened to me. So when was New Year's Eve? New Year's Eve was Tuesday, and I had my really bad news on Saturday. So I didn't read Sunday, and I didn't read Monday. And I thought, I've got 2 hours of this book left. I need to read it. So I wanted to read it by the end of the year. So I thought, right, I said to Carl, I was like, right, I'm going to go do some housework, and I'm going to put my earpods in, and can you take the kids out for a walk? So I took the kids out for a walk, and I was literally sitting on the floor, folding the washing. And it got to this scene, and all my oldest son was upstairs. And he come down, and all he heard was me going, no! And then I started bawling my eyes out because of what happened in this book. Literally is what happened, which was bad news for me. So I then bawled my eyes out, and I was like, I can't not make it my book of the month, because that was 5 stars. And it did make me laugh and like giggle and give me happy feelings to begin with. But that ending was like, not the ending, but like near the ending of like what happened was so heartbreaking because it was so close to like mine as well. So that is why that was the book of the month in December. So that's all the books that were my books of the month. So now we're going to get on to my book of the year. And like I said, it was a really hard decision, like going through. So obviously I have my little, where is it? Oh, I can't find it now. So I have my little like grid here. So obviously I have like January, February, March, April, May, June, July, and so on. And it goes down until you get to the book of the year. So I had to batten it out between House of Flame and Shadow and Haunting Adeline. Now, can you guess which one I chose? We all know who it's going to be. And we all know it was this one. it was House of Flame and Shadow, because not only did Haunting Adeline hit me, but the ending of this, I was ugly crying for Bryce. Ugly crying. I loved it. I will always love a Sarah J Maas book. I cannot wait for her. I need an Asriel book, like, right now. She needs to write an Asriel book right now. I need an Asriel book in my life right now. And I don't know how long I can wait, because that only came out last year. So we're probably going to have to wait a whole nother year, because normally it's every 2 years she brings another one out. So, yeah. You're so comfy then, aren't you? Anyway, that was my 12 books in 12 months that were my favourites, and then my book of the year. I really hope you enjoyed this video. Please comment your favourite book of the year down in the comments below. Please like this video if you liked it, and then subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!